Hey, what's up, Guardians? It's your boy, Church of Caboose, and welcome back to my channel. This video, we're talking about King's Fall because it comes back on August 26th. It's been leaked. It's a thing. I really don't think that ruins too much, but if it did, my bad. Sorry. Spoilers. This whole thing's gonna have spoilers. The footage is King's Fall from D1. We're talking about like, hey, I played it on D1. Like, what I hope happens. And so hashtag spoilers. You've been warned. If you don't want it, turn away now. You got 5, 4, 3, 2, 1. Alright, if you enjoyed this video, make sure you click the like button as well as subscribe to my channel. Mostly going to be focusing on the King's Fall from Destiny 1 and kind of what I hope happens with it in Destiny 2. And I want to try to give some recommendations, right? Because like they've already made it pretty clear with Vault of Glass and their own statements. They want to keep the essence of these raids the same. So I think we can have good ideas of what we want for weapons and things going on in to day one. So without further ado, let's go ahead and kick on into this. So let's first talk about loadouts, weapons and things that I'm pretty sure you're going to want to have for this raid in Destiny 2. Weather Horde should be really strong. Lots of parts where there's lots of just ads that are coming at you. However, not enough ads if it stays just like Destiny 1. You want to have longer range weapons such as sniper rifles, linear fusions, maybe rockets, and machine guns. All right, those are good things to have. There's going to be plenty of parts where there's going to be stuff at a range, including bosses. Now for supers, I don't think Curious of the Falling Star Titan is going to be the go-to for most of these encounters. And so I wouldn't necessarily worry about that. But I would get is maybe use stuff like Solar 3.0 with Lorelei Titans, have different characters do things like Tether, and of course Well of Radiance. And there's quite a few encounters where you just want to stay alive, right? Because the first one, like on screen, you're just opening the way into the raid, and it's just a lot of passing stuff back and forth. And this is the first encounter that we're going to talk about. In this encounter, basic gist is you gotta be able to take 2 relics, one from the left, one from the right, and slam them in one of the pillars in this middle hallway thing, pretty much within like 5-10 seconds of each other. Do that a bunch of times and you open up the gate to get into the actual raid, and there will be a reward at the end of the encounter. To make this more challenging than Destiny 1, I would have more ads, maybe have some Hive Guardians, and perhaps shorten the timer. With a lot of these encounters, movement in Destiny 1 was not as quick as Destiny 2. In Destiny 2, we got things like Eager Edge Sword, Icarus Dash, Stompies, things like that really increase how fast you can move, that did not exist in Destiny 1. Those things would all be a huge advantage inside this first encounter, opening yourself up into the raid. So if we increase more ads, then that will help quite a bit. And then I guess you can make the wall that blocks you off a little bit more beefy, but I don't think that's necessarily crucial to making this encounter more fun or entertaining. That would perhaps just be more annoying. Right, so that's gonna be the first encounter that we come into. The second encounter is going to be where you gotta do some jump stuff, and again, the movement things is going to be a big issue. A lot of these different areas, including the ships, are stuff where I'm pretty sure you could skip almost the entirety of it, as was intended with Destiny 1, with our current movement, exotics, and abilities and sword stuff. Right, so that's going to be really important if Bungie wants to really keep the integrity and make it where you have to actually use the ships, for example, to get from point A to point B and then to point C. And then the third encounter is the War Priest. And this is not the War Priest, is the one where you gotta pass a Deathsinger buff back and forth. Essentially, you're gonna have 2 people on left, 2 people in the middle, and 2 people on right. You're gonna have to have this little debuff thing, I forget what it's called, but basically it makes it when you're on the left and the right, you don't take damage while you're on those totems. And then when that timer runs out, it passes off to another guy, and the one that originally held the debuff deal, whatever, has Deathsinger times 10. They run to the middle, and they stand on that middle totem to basically deposit it, kind of like Grasp of Avarice and those moats things, and then once that's gone, they run back to their side on the right or the left, and you just kind of circle through. One of the things I think would be really helpful in this encounter is going to be to make it be more ads, right? In Destiny 1, almost none of my fire team had done this since like 2015, I believe is when this came out. and we had a really easy time with it. It was not hard. Some of the stuff was just like, oh yeah, we have to wait until it actually runs out, not hit 0, because Destiny 2, sometimes when things hit 0, that's what counts. And that was really what gave us any of the hiccups there, which was, at least one of them was my fault, to be honest. And it was just because it hit 0. I was like, all right, cool, it took off, and my debuff did not pass on to the other guy that was with me. So if we have more ads, that's going to really help out this encounter. If you do something like match game, that'll probably help with the wizards. With day 1, you're going to probably want to have something with solar, whether it be heavy or sniper rifles, because there's quite a few ads such as boomer knights and wizards that are at a range. So trying to use something like a fusion rifle might work for wizards if you're in middle, but you definitely want to have some longer range stuff. And then thankfully we got pulse rifles and things with solar damage. But to make this more fun for D2, we want to have more ads, maybe have some Hive Guardians, and that's going to be the gist of making that harder. The third encounter is going to be War Priest. War Priest was pretty chill, but again, it was at a range, and this is where we start getting into why things like Curse of the Falling Star might not be the best. If we assume Destiny 1's raid stays the same as Destiny 2's Kingfall, then being able to use something like Curse of the Falling Star is not going to work, especially on War Priest. You have to stay within this red aura in order to do damage. The War Priest is too far away to sneak in a Thunder Crash and within the time before the buff or whatever expires, so you're not going to really use the Thunder Crash. So stuff like Well, Bubble, and Tether is going to be what you want to use, along with long range weapons, and that's going to really help out. Again, ads should probably be more dense, maybe some Hive Guardians, perhaps some champions, but that's probably more realistic for the master version. Then the next encounter, the next encounter is more jumping, which again, we've already talked about movement. There's some stuff with that. And then we gotta do Golgoroth, which is really similar in everything as far as stuff I'm talking about with, hey, this is what would be better. So, but real quick, how the encounter, at least in D1, pretty much works, is you're going to have 3 on the left, 3 on the right. And on the ceiling, there's these little blobs. You break a blob, a pool falls on the floor. If you stand in the pool, you're able to do damage. In order to do damage efficiently, someone has to have Golgoroth's gaze. So at least 4 people will be in the pool. If you're going to use multiple of those blobs in the ceiling, then you're going to have 2 people passing back and forth the gaze. You get the gaze by shooting them in the back. Alright, you just do damage over and over. Some things slightly change, like taken spawning after a certain point of health has been defeated, and then eventually you beat them and you move on. In Destiny 1, this was one of the few encounters where you actually would get wiped if you had too many deaths, because in Destiny 1, when you died, at least on the regular version, you had a timer, and then when the time runs out, you can get revived, go on about your merry way. Well, for Golgoroth, if you get too many deaths, it wipes you. But since Destiny 2 already has a tracker for deaths, I don't think that's going to be a thing for the Destiny 2 version of King's Fall. I think it's just going to kind of work as before. In order to make this more challenging, they probably want to have more ad density, and maybe instead of having these yellow bar acolytes be what kind of triggers a lot of stuff, make them Hive Guardians, and that should make this a little bit more fun and entertaining and challenging. The next encounter after that is there's more jump puzzles, and then you get through all of that, and then you run into the sisters. And basically, the sisters and orcs both have the same complaints, not necessarily complaints, but kind of concerns from D1 going to D2 as before. So I was going to go ahead and just kind of wrap up the sum here, and also let the footage of fighting orcs kind of play out. Alright? Basically, within this whole raid, in order for it to be the most fun with Destiny 2, there has to be a lot more ads. My fire team, all of us were at least in the same Discord. Most of them were in the Fundament clan, which I hopefully, fingers crossed, to be a part of before too long. We haven't played this since 2015, and we beat almost every encounter the first try, with the exception of the one where we passed the buff thing back and forth with the Deathsinger's song or whatever. One of them was my fault. My bad. I take the hit for that. That wasn't really because of a challenge thing. It was more like, oh yeah, we gotta wait till it's actually not on our screen for the debuff instead of when it hits 0. Like, that was it. And then the other thing we wiped on was once or twice we wiped on orcs, and then once on sisters, but both of those were like, oh, I didn't realize stepping on a plate thing activated. I thought we had to shoot something, or someone else was like, oh, shoot, so the plates change. It's not the same order every time for orcs. Like, that was it. We hadn't played this in, like, I guess 2015 was like 7 years ago. and we beat everything really quick. We did a clear in 2 hours. There's a lot of people that have a hard time with D2 raids within that amount of time, so we were all raid savvy, so this is kind of my thing for trying to help the raid guys out. Right, we want to have a lot more ads in general. That's going to really help out to make it more challenging and more fun. It's pretty boring, other than like, yay, nostalgia. Okay, some more ads. If you have some things like champions that aren't just for master mode, sure, have them be weaker for the regular version, but anti-barrier knights, like for example, within Oryx, the Oryx fight, there's knights that spawn on top of the plates. You have to kill those. Could be pretty interesting if you have them be anti-barrier. I kind of hope they are. Alright, otherwise, it would be interesting. A lot of the weapons in D2 are way better than D1. Touch of Malice is not even close to being one of the best weapons that we got in D2. Stuff with D2 could be things where we've got Whisper of the Worm would be insane. Anarchy might actually be really, really good. Gallahorn, Lasting Impression, Rockets, Storm Chaser, Linear Fusions. All these things are nuts. We got more exotic options, more build things with Solars and Void, and then soon to be Arc stuff. And it can just be really nuts. If you don't do a whole lot to this raid, it's going to be really boring, really quick. And I think people are going to be like, this is whatever. And you're just going to have a lot of people that only do it for the title or the raid exotic and then move on. So hopefully this raid exotic is cool enough to keep doing it over and over. I really had a lot of fun playing this again, but again, that was more for nostalgia. So hopefully with Destiny 2, the King's Fall gets a lot more ads and things like that. Now you guys probably noticed I got overlays here and things like that in the gameplay. It's because I was streaming. I do sometimes stream on here on YouTube, so make sure you subscribe to my channel so you can catch all those. And I do plan to run on day 1 at the reset and just to see what happens, and hopefully it is a lot of fun and I get my first ever full day 1 clear with a raid. That would be fantastic. Alright, thank you guys all so much for watching. I really appreciate it. I want to get this video out before we have the new season happen, as well as I start school and all of that the day after I record, and so this just works out pretty well. I really appreciate you guys and your support and viewership. This channel has been growing quite a bit recently, and so thank you guys all so much for that. I really appreciate it. Thank you guys all so much for watching. Have a great week. Good luck grinding on Season 18, which starts on August 23rd. And happy grinding, y'all.